This is Bavaria's brand new SR36. This is the world premiere of this boat, and in fact this is the very first one. So really interesting one to show you. A lot of thought gone into this, and they've really thought about how people use these boats in reality and tried to configure something that works for everybody. So we'll step on board. Now the first thing to mention is the bathing platform. There is an option that this one has, which is this is a high-low section. That'll lift about 250 kilograms. Standard is just a fixed platform. But the first thing we find is this area here. So you've got the table here, and this backrest will actually pull the other way. If we do that with it, you can see how that gives a great seating area, facing the way you want to face when you're at anchor, which is out across the bay and not staring at the cockpit. The table, as you can see, but that's a high-low adjustable, so you can drop that down, put infill cushions in, make that into a sunbed. But there's a further option in which you can have that just as a fixed top and storage underneath. So you want more deck storage, that would be the way to do that. And talking of options, there's a load of options for this hardtop, because this is open backed, as you can see. You can have this with doors on the back to make this into a coupe and enclose this area here. You can also have a version with a much larger sliding roof. This one's got a solid sliding roof. There's a fabric roof, which means that you can of course concertina that back a lot further. And there's another option coming out which is going to have like a T-top basically, and then open around the sides. So that'd be a nice setup for the Med. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We'll take a walk around the outside first, and I'll show you the cockpit and I'll show you the interior. So if we head up here, you've got really nice wide side decks as you go forward. There's a rail here to hold on to. This is what I mean about this sliding roof, because you can see you've got this aperture here, which is pretty decent, but everything that's there needs to have somewhere to go. If you have the fabric roof, then of course it concertinas up. You can bring it back a lot further. So it just depends what you want. Big one-piece windscreen, big wipers on here as well. And I like the way they put the Bavaria logo on the front, and little stainless steel cup holders and so on. That's a nice feature. Anchor winch up here on the bow, and the anchor hanging right over the stem. And then if we spin on round, that's how she looks from here. Now of course side decks on both sides, so you can walk around this very easily, and they are really wide side decks actually. For a 36-foot boat, it's a very easy boat to move around. And what they've done back here is they've provided a lift out section, so you can see this bit here that can come out. So if you're in harbour and manoeuvring and stuff, you want to get quick access onto there, you can take that right out. But it means that when you're stopped at anchor or whatever else and you want to eat around a table or sit and relax, drop that back in, you've got continuous seating. And you can still then move around the boat, because you can come this way, come right around the back, and then we can drop that seat there back the other way as it was. There we go, and now you've got continuous seating all the way around. And this table, as you'd expect, unfolds, and that gives you a really nice dining area. This I like. Rather than having these great big GRP panels at the back, they've kept this all of stainless steel, and that means that you get a lot less obstruction of the view, so that works well. And on this one, they brought the galley up here, so your cooker is up here, or your hob I should say. You've got the sink here as well, and the cover for this slots in there, so you've got protection for the helm seat from anything fat or whatever splitting off of there. And then underneath this, if we twist this, you've got fridge underneath here, you've got a drawer underneath this one, and so on. And then further forward again, helm position. So this is obviously where you drive the boat from. It's on outdrives, but you've got the IPS style controller, so you can control the boat in close quarters with that, push it to the side and the boat goes sideways, that kind of thing. Sliding window at the helm as well, which is nice. They've got that on both sides, so plenty of ventilation. Throttle controls, USB charger, inductive charger, one piece across here, that's an option, but it gives you the twin screens in one display, and the Volvo Penta instrumentation underneath. And then that's a switch gear for the boat just there. They put the Chez Lounge area here, and I would explain why that's there when we go inside, because that's quite neat the way they packaged that, and that is the other sliding window on that side. And of course somebody can see it next to you at the helm if they want to. Anyway, let's head on down inside. Now, because they put that galley up, the main beneficiary of that is the fact that you've still got this small area here. There's a little sink in here. In fact, they're going to make that bigger in the next ones. So this is boat number 1. And there's also a fridge down here. But by keeping that quite compact, it means you get a really good heads compartment. So you've got a separate shower area. You can close this off with these doors, shower in there, keep this area dry. Storage up and behind here, like so. waving mirror here, like so. Let's close that one back up, a bit more storage underneath as well. And there's two cabins. Jesus Christ. Didn't break it this time. I'll edit that out later. So there's a cabin forward, double bed in there. You've got obviously storage again up in places like this. You've got the nice big hull windows with the opening sections. That's a hatch up above. We've got the sunbed cushions on there in a minute, so we can't see through that. And then over here, hanging locker. And a bit more storage underneath there. And if we head on back, they have put a nice little dinette area down here. So if you want to come down and tuck yourself away of an evening or whatever, then you can do that. And then if we come back onto this side, that is switchgear, stereo. There's storage up in behind here. Again, you've got the hull windows with the opening section. And so forth. Okay, let's head back again. This then is the mid cabin. You've got two decent single beds in here, but you can infill this and make that a double if you prefer. What's quite neat is that's that chaise lounge that we saw in the cockpit. That's what gives you loads of headroom coming into here. So you've got a nice big area to stand and get changed. Then of course it drops because that is the floor of the cockpit. But what they have done is if you come across this side, they've raised it back up again. So you've got these hull windows that go right up, and it just means that when you head down this end, it just all feels a lot more open. So that works well. Spin on round. Storage here again, so drawers, there we go, bit of percussive maintenance, and a little seat in here as well. In fact, that's just about big enough. If you've got a small child you want to have sleeping with you, then of course they could go in there. And a hanging locker. So that is your mid cabin. Let's come back out through here. Last thing to talk about then is engines. So we come up here, back into the cockpit, and we'll come right on back. Engines are under here. As I mentioned, they're on out drives. If we lift this cushion here out, bear with me. There we go. What that allows us to do is lift this fellow here. Again, as I say, I mentioned it's the first boat. There's going to be a gas strut on here to hold this up. At the moment there isn't, so I will hold it and lower the camera in and show you that there are a pair of Volvo Penta D4 300s in there. So 300 horsepower each. They're giving the boat 30 knots plus, 31, 32, somewhere up around there. Mid-20s cruising and the usual sort of 250 mile of range. But it's quite a decent area once you're in. You come down this ladder and you can get right down between them, as you can see. But also it's this big area in front of it. Like so, fuel tank of course is in there as well. So that is that. That's where you get down to for servicing and that kind of thing. If you ever needed to do any more major work, this is already set up. So you can see that you can remove this and it goes right back in and round. You can take this whole section out, you can get to the engines if there's ever any serious work needed. But for most of what you need to do, the servicing and that kind of stuff, that is sufficient. Let's slide that one back in. There we go. And that, I think, is about that. It's a very intriguing boat, isn't it? They've done a nice job with that. I like this one-piece windscreen. I like the fact they put this low glare on here as well, so you can see even on a really bright sunny day, you've still got perfect visibility without reflections. Superb. So there we are, Bavaria SR36. Massive thanks to Clipper Marine. They're dealers for these and they've organised this tour. Huge thanks, as ever, to you guys for watching. We'll catch you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.